Alright, today we're replacing a window regulator in this 1995 Toyota Avalon. It's no good. The motor must be seized up in there. It just does nothing when you hit the switch. I have a switch, so we're going to pop the door panel off, take a look at it, make sure it is the window regulator, and we'll go from there. First thing you want to do when replacing these, this one's already missing its little cover around here, but the first thing you normally do is pop that off. On these cars, there's a bunch of little bolts along the bottom here. All you got to do is to start by taking those out. Okay, got all the bolts out from underneath the bottom here. Anytime on these door panels that you see what looks like a little round cover, there's one here, you got a couple here. Looks like that's the only ones. Those are usually either push pins or they're hiding a bolt underneath. So what you're going to want to do is pop those out. That one, if you look at it, is just a little plug, which means inside there is another bolt. So you want to take that out. On this one, it's got one of these, it's just a little tiny push pin thing. All you do is you push the center of this in. Once that pushes in, then the whole thing just pulls right out. And before you do anything else, you may as well reset it. To reset it, you just push the thing back out. So that way when you put it in, it'll fall back flush again. Alright, now we'll try loosening it up. These push these back here, these little plastic things. Yep, pop those off, there's more screws back there. Just feeling around, make sure it's all pretty loose here. This one feels like something's hanging up right in this area. So I'm going to pop this window panel, or window switch panel up. And there's another hidden screw behind it. So you never want to force these things. Just work it slow. Try to figure out where more screws might be hidden. Okay, there, now you can see it's all nice and loose. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this plug. And then you just lift it right off. Now this one, can you see that? This one has one wire going down here for a light. Just unplug that, and then your door panel is free. It's got a bonus pencil in there. Set that aside. Alright, we got the door panel off. I did verify that the window regulator is bad. I just checked it to make sure that the motor itself is getting power by probing in here, and it is getting power, and the window's doing nothing, which means the motor's bad on the window regulator. So, to access it, actually I'm going to start by taking off these three screws here. Now you can look here, this is part of the regulator. Here's the wire going to the motor. So you got a bolt here, then there's a couple more hidden on this other side here. So let me go ahead and start unbolting. I'm gonna pop that clip out here for the wiring. First thing I'm going to do actually is take a look at the new one, and you can compare and see where all the bolt holes are going to be. Also, before you actually install it or take it out of the bag, just kind of hold it up and make sure it looks the same as the original. You know, make sure that the car didn't have any weird options or anything that's throwing it off. So, you look here, you can see that bolt hole lines up here. that lines up here, and this one down here is going to line up just fine. And that also gives you an idea of exactly which bolts you need to take off. So looking at this, it tells me I'm going to have to take off this one, and then you look at the motor here, and there's 3, 1, 2, the third one is hidden somewhere. 1, 2, it's buried behind this wire. 3 is over here. I'm just going to break those loose for right now. Go ahead and unbolt the motor. Let it hang. Alright. Got the motor here. You can see it's really rusty and old looking. Okay. Now our next step, and you want to be careful doing this, is to be to take the regulator out. Now the window is still attached to the regulator, so you got to be real careful that the window doesn't fall when you loosen this thing. I'm going to try to get this motor temporarily working just enough to get that window down some so that I can get this window regulator loose. As a worst case scenario, you might actually have to cut the cables going to the motor, but I don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to. So what I'm going to do is just give the motor a few little quick bumps with a hammer and hope that it works. Quite often it will, but this one might be too far gone. No go. Now it did work. So I'm just going to slide it down just enough. Now keep in mind, that's just a temporary fix. If you were to bolt that back together, probably in a day that motor would quit working again. Alright, now you can see here, this bolt and this bolt are the two that actually hold the glass to the regulator. So now I need to unbolt those. To get those unbolted, to be able to pull the window all the way up. First I need something to prop the window up once it's up. You can use tape, but it'll leave sticky residue. Another great option is to use a rubber door stop. Those little wedge-shaped door stops you can just stick right in here. So I just got to go find something that I can use to wedge in there and hold the window up while I work on the regulator. I'm just going to use this piece of little rubber hose, and I'm going to pull the window up. I'm going to squish this down in here a little bit. And that'll hold the window tight. The rubber will keep it from sliding. So now that the window's out of the way, now your regulator should come right out. You got all the bolts loose. All you have to do, sometimes it takes a little bit of working, but then you have it out. Now make a mental note of the exact way this was sitting in the car, so that when you go to put the new one in, it doesn't throw you off. Disconnect the electrical. Alright, so now we got the old regulator out. Just take a look at your new one, make sure it looks in good shape. Make sure it looks like the identical one. You can see here it's got the, it's already greased and ready to install. So all we need to do is just repeat the same procedure as we did for taking it out. Get your bolt holes lined up at the top there. get those started so they don't go anywhere. Okay, got the motor tight. We got the window regulator in there. We'll just tighten that down. Now this is a good point to actually do a little test on it. Make sure it's working properly. You can just go ahead and plug it in. Make sure your key's on. And you can see there the elevator going up and down. So you know it's going to work just fine. Now place the elevator about in the same, well, pretty much anywhere where you can access these holes here. I'll shut the key off so it doesn't accidentally move on me. Now you're going to want to take out your stopper, lower the window down, line up the bolt holes there, and bolt your window back in. Now we can do one more test. Make sure it works good with the window on there. See, there it goes all the way up and all the way down. So now we're good. Now we just have to put everything back together the way it came apart, and we'll be all done. One trick to remember when you're putting the door panel back on, don't forget any plugs that go in the back of it. Sometimes you have to, like these, you have to feed back up through there, and otherwise you'll be taking the door panel off more than once. So we'll start the exact opposite of how it came off. Started with this light plug, then these fed up through here. All we have to do is slide this down here. Make sure you got all your wires through here. And all we got to do is put all the screws back in, and we are all done. Yeah, it's a very simple job. You know, we got this window regulator from autopartsdirecttoyou.com. They have a lifetime warranty on their window regulators, and it's pretty much a job just about anybody can do. So even though it sounds intimidating, taking the door panel off and everything, really not too bad. And we are done. Do a final test on it. Works great. We are done.